Welcome, everybody. I am Kristen Crockett, an executive and leadership coach, helping you and teams expand and lead. So let's get into what we are here to talk about, which is the real cost of making hard work your identity. So if you are here and you are watching me, more than likely, you identify yourself as a hard worker. And who wouldn't? Because being a hard worker has been touted our entire lives. And it also has so many incredible pros that go along with it. So there's always something that we get from whatever we do, but then we also have the costs. So let's first get into the pros of being a hard worker. So you are depended on. People can count on you. They bring work to you. They know that you're going to get it done. And you are recognized for your incredible contribution to your departments. You might be called out in a meeting and celebrated. You might be celebrated behind closed doors, but there's something that there is a part of this where you are getting recognition. You also deliver on your promises. So you're looked at as being extremely responsible. So then people come to you with other things because they know that you not only are responsible, but you get it done. You do work really well because you also have an incredible work ethic where you're not just going to let anything slide. You're going to make sure that it is above and beyond, and you're going to make sure that your work ethic represents the department, okay? And here's the thing. All of that is incredible, and it is great to be a hard worker. But let's talk about some of the costs. So, if you are watching this live or on the replay, go ahead and comment on what you think are some of the costs of being a hard worker. And let's jump into it. So, the first thing I'm going to ask you about is, do you do things when they need to be done? Is there this sense for you that, like, if you don't do them, then they just won't get done? You often say, like, if I don't do it, then who else is going to do it? And then, do you check your email a lot? Do you find yourself checking your email during meetings, at night, on the weekends, in times where you should be doing something completely different, but you are actually checking your email? Do you find that you respond to text messages at off hours? Is it this burning sensation inside of you that you're like, okay, I just have to know. I have to know, like, what's happening with this project? What's going on? Is it this connection that you have where you have to be a part of what's happening? Now, let's talk about vacations. Do you take your PTO or vacation? Or do you have a lot of leftover or unused time at the end of the year? Is that something that you've ever been proud of? That you have all of these extra days that you haven't used? Or when you use your vacation, do you find that you are actually not using your vacation because you're responding to emails, you're thinking about what's going on, or you are answering phone calls or answering messages? So it's difficult for you to disconnect. So let me ask you this. Let's talk about you. What's the relationship like with yourself? What's that like? So, right now, as you are listening to me, I want you to think about where you feel tightness in your body. Let's start with your jaw. What's your jaw feeling like? Does it feel tight? What about your neck? Is there any aching or tightness in your neck? What about your shoulders, your lower back, your hips, your knees? Because guess what? We keep all of our stress in our body, and our body tells on us all of the time. So if any of that is tight or is aching or hurts, that is definitely a sign that you are keeping work inside of your body. So let's get to the second question for you. How often do you really take the time to breathe? When is the last time that you actually intentionally said, let me breathe? Let me take a deep breath. Because hard workers, you tend to work through everything and forgetting even time to take a deep breath, to reconnect with your body. So a lot of times you may be spending all this time outside of your body, being concentrated on other people, thinking about what other people need, thinking about what that department needs, and not necessarily thinking about what you need or what your body needs. Taking the time for you. So let's talk about your relationship with responsibility, because I'm sure that that started from a really young age, where you also had that same thought that if I don't do it, who will? And so you're taking on everybody else's needs. And whether that is the physical things of this needs to get done, or the emotional, taking things on that belong to other people. Somebody else is feeling overwhelmed, you're going to take on their work so they feel less overwhelmed. If somebody else is short staffed, you're going to offer to help so that they are not short staffed. So it's always giving to other people, sacrificing yourself and your needs and who you are. So let me ask this next question for you. How do you feel right now? Do you feel calm? Do you feel okay? Do you feel overwhelmed? Or are you at capacity? Because what happens is we start to identify so much with being a hard worker that we don't even realize that we are living at capacity every single day with no reprieve. There's no feeling of, oh, this is fun, this is great, I can relax. It is living at capacity all of the time. But a lot of times it's because you are taking on extra assignments. You are taking on extra work. You are creating things for yourself. Once it's finished, well, what about this? What if I try this? What if I do this? So it's a constant creation of work for yourself. And all the while, your body is still feeling all of that. You're not breathing. It's a disconnection from who you really are. And so now, when we look at who you really are, I want you to think about the last time that you did something for yourself, the last time you bought something for yourself, the last time that you celebrated one of your wins or one of your accomplishments, and the last time you asked for help from someone and actually accepted it. So all of these things, our experiences as kids really taught us that we could not depend on anybody else. Maybe because we had a parent or a caretaker that was not there, or they worked all of the time. And so we didn't want to bother them. We didn't want to burden them. And so it becomes this situation where we begin to feel like we are the burden. And so ultimately, we end up trying to release and ease the burden from somebody else by taking on too much, by saying yes to everything, by taking in their emotions as if they were our own. All because we spent so much time feeling alone as a kid that even if we are connected to work or that other person, it prevents us from feeling alone. So, how is this impacting you? How is this impacting your health? Because what happens most times is without really taking time to disconnect, to experience divine relaxation, often you probably get hit with an illness that is just so severe that it keeps you out of work for a few days, for maybe a week. It's never just a one day thing. It's normally like a few days or a week or longer. And that is because you're constantly pushing your body to max capacity. And so ultimately your body has to come back and say, we cannot do this anymore. We have to relax. And that relaxation for you is normally an illness, right? So it is sometimes ignoring the signs. If we have a headache, it's normally because you're not drinking enough water or you haven't eaten. Do you eat lunch during the day? Or do you just skip through it and head to dinner? Do you eat breakfast? Are you actually putting fuel into your body during the day? Or are you skipping meals because you are working so much? So those are the things that I'm going to ask you as your coach to make sure that we start to put you first, to understand even what that would, to imagine what that would feel like or to be put first, to be prioritized instead of you prioritizing everybody else around you like you have for so long. And then I'm going to ask you to breathe with me, to teach you how to breathe. So many clients will say to me, you know what, Kristen, you taught me how to breathe. And that is because really taking time to breathe physically is going to help you in so many different ways, but also taking a second to look at a situation in a completely different way. That is your emotional intelligence kicking in. That is taking the time to, instead of just reacting to everything that comes to you, to really take a pause, to separate yourself for a second, and to really take the time to think about what is the right thing to do. Is this something that you should jump into? Is it something that you should delegate to someone else? Do you have to take it on as you normally do? Or can you put some breathing room in there? And then we're also going to talk about fear, because a lot of times this is tied to, but if I don't do it, who's going to do it? Is this project is it going to crumble? So it's this innate fear that if you are not there, that something bad is going to happen. So we're going to talk about that fear, and we're going to really address that fear as well. And also helping you celebrate who you are, because you are incredible. You have these amazing strengths. You would not have gotten this far if you were not so amazing. But sometimes it's difficult for you to actually see and embrace and embody how incredible you are. So that is one way that I'm going to partner with you to make sure that we are celebrating what you accomplish, because that is so necessary for the organization to know what you have accomplished. But even before that, leadership, as I always say, starts from within. So when you begin to see how amazing you are, and you begin to embrace and embody how incredible you are, then other people begin to feel that as well. they begin to see and to feel that you are fully stepping into your power, that you are taking up space at the front of the room, that you are really stepping into all of the breathing room that you have available. So, with that, there are two ways that you can work with me. One is through executive or leadership coaching, and the other is through a new program that I am launching called Expand and Lead, that is taking my 10 years of experience with working with leaders of color and grooming them into executive leaders and providing an accelerated version of that through a 12-week program. So I would love to talk to you more about that. You can definitely feel free to send me a message or comment below, expand, and I will make sure that you get that information. If you're interested in coaching, make sure that you comment coach, and I will get that information to you as well. We will have just a free discovery call where we just sit and talk about you. We talk about you and we talk about what would be the best possibility for you so that you can definitely learn how to let go of some of the fear, to really embrace your confidence, embrace your strengths, and to elevate your leadership in a way that is impacting you in a way that you now know who you are, what you need, and also what your team needs as a leader in order to empower them. Because that's another cost of all of this, is that you are stunting the growth of your team by taking on absolutely everything. You are preventing them from growing and developing as well. So, with that, thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope that you all have an incredible rest of the day. Thank you for joining The Real Cost of Making Work Your Identity.